What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of White Eye Weekly. Got your boy Bryn hosting as always. We got Riley and Spoon joining us today. This is going to be our top 10 of week 7 or post week 7 breakdown. We're going to go through our entire top 10. We're going to reveal it one at a time, and then we're just going to give our thoughts, go over each team, and make it short, sweet, and simple for you guys. You guys ready to go? You want me to throw it up on the screen?
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right, so first off, I got bubble teams in number 10. Sorry, the resolution's kind of bad. I just had to zoom in on these. Tampa Bay and Seattle each got one vote. So if you don't know how we do this, we each vote and we each fill out a top 10. And then, number 1 is worth 10 points, number 10 is worth 1 point, and then whoever has the most points in order. And then there are tiebreakers such as record and scoring differential and stuff like that. But bubble teams are teams that received votes but didn't get enough points to make it into the top 10. So both Tampa Bay and Seattle received votes. Are either of you surprised by that?
No. I'm surprised Philly's above Tampa.
Well, they all received one vote. Tampa Bay has a better winning percentage because they only have 2 losses.
Mm-hmm.
So same amount of wins, less losses, better winning percentage means they get the bump up. So Philly gets in at number 10.
So my thing with them is it was I know which team I picked, but I think it's fine, and I understand that the Bucks beat the Eagles, but the Bucks were home, put them on a neutral side. I think the Eagles might take that game, and the Eagles don't really have a bad loss this season.
And the Bucks just lost their number 1 and their number 2 wide receiver, number 2 for the whole season, and they said Mike Evans could return after their bye week in week 11. So you're looking at week 12 return at the soonest. I mean,
so this is news to me. What happened to him?
Did you not watch the games last night?
Well, he was having hamstring problems already.
Yeah.
And I knew that, which thank you, Mike Evans, for scoring a touchdown before you went out of the game. I was able to hit my parlay because of that, so thank you very much. But
is it a real hamstring or is it a Devontae Adams hamstring?
No, it's a real hamstring. He was limping at when he was playing, he was limping. He catches the touchdown, comes up limping, plays one more drive, and they go for another end zone shot. And he's laying on the ground, writhing in pain, grabbing his hamstring. So, they say 3 to 4 weeks. I would be surprised if he plays in less than 6 weeks, just because those hamstrings tend to linger.
Yeah.
But I'm no doctor. And then Chris Godwin dislocated his ankle, so he's done for the year.
Oh, just pop it back in.
That's not how ankles work. That's not how ankles work.
They're not like shoulders.
What really hurts the Bucks with me too is that loss that they took to Denver. I understand that Denver's been playing a lot better. They're now like a top 15 team in the NFL.
4-3.
But before, I still look at that loss and I'm just like, man, they kind of got smacked around by him pretty well.
Yeah.
Eagles also getting AJ Brown back kind of just boosts them up for me. AJ,
you put Saquon back, or you put AJ Brown in that offense with Saquon in there. I mean, now you got to play man coverage, and now you got to worry about Brown and Saquon. I mean, you saw what Saquon did on Sunday. I mean, dude went off. So I think the Eagles are definitely a top 10 team right now, and both the Seahawks beating Atlanta in Atlanta, which was very impressive, and the Bucks, who I think would be higher on this list if they were healthy for sure.
Right.
But with their injuries, I think that brings
the
them
Seahawks
down.
didn't just win; they smacked the shit. They pummeled.
They bitch slapped the Atlanta Falcons at Atlanta. Wild. I don't quite understand what happened there. It was kind of crazy, but hey, that is what it is. I think these are. I think you can go any which way with these 3 teams. It's up to you. So, but all right, we're gonna go up here and we're gonna reveal our number 9 team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Riley, I know, isn't necessarily on the Russell Wilson train yet, and I'm not saying I am, but I still do believe Russell Wilson is the better thrower of the football. I feel on a week-to-week basis he gives them a better chance to win, and I feel like if it comes down to a game-winning drive, I definitely feel like Russell Wilson gives them a better chance to win on a weekly basis. So I like it. I think they're playing at a high level. That defense is still playing insane. The run game's working well. Pickens is playing out of his mind. What do you guys think?
I mean, obviously, I like Justin Fields. And it wasn't. I understand in the context, Russ hasn't played in a while, but I did not see anything in my mind that raises their ceiling any higher than it was with Fields.
I mean,
okay, so my argument is that Russell Wilson was one of the my MVPs of the week. Like, I think he came out there and played excellent.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Against a pretty good Jets defense who, I mean, obviously they're underperforming this year, but I mean, they beat the dog shit out of them. The Jets were favored coming in, and Rush just came in and threw 2 passing touchdowns, I don't remember how many yards he threw, but
I think it was 360.
Yeah, I think
had a touchdown on the ground too. I'm just like, the Steelers haven't had that with Justin Fields. They haven't had somebody throw the ball for that many yards. And
I mean, Justin slung it for one game. He had one really good game through the air, I will say.
Yeah.
But it's more so the end of game scenario, right? Like if the Steelers are down by 3 points with a minute and a half to go with no timeouts, I feel 10 times more confident with the ball in Russell Wilson's hands as opposed to Justin Fields' hands.
So, did you guys watch that quarterback sneak, that rushing touchdown of his?
Yeah, I don't think he got it either.
Oh,
no, I don't think.
I just want to make sure I wasn't the. Both referees came in and marked him down short. Then rule, and I think what they were saying was, "Oh, we'll rule it a touchdown. It'll go to review, and then they will tell us whether he was in or not." But there were so many bodies on top of him, you couldn't see where the ball was. So there was not enough evidence to overturn the touchdown, so they gave it to him.
Yeah. No, I concur with that. I firmly believe that he's the better thrower of the football. And I mean, it is. I did see a video that everybody's kind of throwing around the internet right now as far as the Steelers go, and it is about the fact that in the trade for Justin Fields, the Bears get a conditional 6th that can be turned into a 4th-round pick if Justin Fields plays 51% or more of the snaps. I mean, is Tomlin playing chess instead of checkers and just using Russ to avoid giving up a 4th-round pick because he knows Russ is on par, if not better than Fields anyways, so why not just use him at all costs until they have to use Fields to try to avoid giving up that extra 2 rounds? I don't know. Maybe. It would be very Tomlin-esque.
This is the other half of all of this. Do you see the Steelers getting to a Super Bowl this year?
With their defense, yes. With their offense, it's 50-50. I mean, they would have to go on such a run offensively, but this defense is Super Bowl ready. I mean, I believe that this defense, I firmly believe this defense could carry them to a Super Bowl.
Okay. I don't think they can make a Super Bowl, but I 100% think that they can easily make the playoffs and get out of the wild card round, go to the division. They might lose in the division round, but I mean, hey, if you're a Steelers fan, like, you probably came into this season not expecting a whole lot, and that's more than what you
and I'm not trying to say they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that this defense is a caliber of defense in which I could see a Super Bowl run if they just start playing really hot, right?
Yeah. Maybe in the NFC. I just don't know in the AFC.
I mean, the AFC is I feel the other way around. The AFC is kind of trash. I mean, the Broncos are the 7th seed. I mean, I was
not as low on the Broncos coming into the season as you guys. I didn't think they'd be the 7th seed, but I thought they'd be 500.
I think the AFC is just top heavy.
I feel like the AFC is not even top heavy. I feel like most teams in the AFC, if they played on a neutral site, would be underdogs to at least 5 of the 7 playoff teams in the NFC.
Really?
I mean, everybody but the Chiefs, really. I feel like Buffalo would be underdogs on a neutral field to Detroit, underdogs on a neutral field to Minnesota, to
I think they'd be underdogs to Green Bay too.
Green Bay.
Honestly.
I don't think they'd be underdogs to Chicago, who's the 7 seed. They might be underdogs to Philly, but Philly's not in the playoffs. I'd be interested to see that one. Who's the Atlanta? I know they just got bitch slapped by Seattle, but I mean they're still a good football team. They just had a bad day. Any given Sunday's a thing for a reason. But like Buffalo's the second best team in the AFC, in my opinion, outside of Kansas City. And I mean Kansas City's only been so good because of their defense.
You have Buffalo at 2 in the AFC right now?
Over Houston and Baltimore?
I mean, the way CJ Stroud has played this season, he isn't playing like he did last year, and he needs to change my mind. Baltimore, I'll give you that. Baltimore would probably be. I would imagine Detroit would probably be the only team that would be favored over Baltimore. I would give you that. So Baltimore and Kansas City, and then you got Buffalo at 3. So I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, you look at the wild card. You have the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos sitting at 2 wild card spots, and the Colts do not scare me. I don't think they scare any team really.
No, the Colts are like I see them finishing around 500. Like,
yeah,
like this one of the scariest teams. It's not, and they're not even in the AFC playoff race. The Bengals, and that's because their offense is so hot, but their defense couldn't stop me throwing the football. Like they're garbage. So. I mean, you have just an absolute horrendous situation there on defense. So I don't see. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense just doesn't scare me with Russ, with Justin. I mean, nothing scares me there. Are they a talented football team? Absolutely. Every team is in the NFL. But am I like game planning? Okay, number 3, he's going to get us this week. No, like I'm just going to play my style of defense, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try my best to shut him down. But that defense, scary.
I was going to say, to give you an example, the NFC has 8 teams that are either 4-3 or 3-4 or 3-3 right there all together, and the AFC only has 4.
Yeah.
Like the AFC is so top heavy, and you have no idea. I honestly,
part of that is just the NFC North.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, the NFC North all has 4
wins or more.
Well, yes. The Bears are the only ones with 4. All the other 3 have 5.
It's 5-1, 5-1, 5-2, 4-2.
4-2.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy. But all right, let's move on to number 8 here. Number 8 team on our list is the Washington Commanders. And I am so upset that the Bears are going to get to luck out and play Marcus Mariota instead of having to face Jaden Daniels. Like, this is some bullshit.
Yeah.
I was
Marcus
so upset.
Mariota came in on fire.
Yeah, but they didn't have tape on how they were going to run the offense with Mariota in the game. And on top of that, the Carolina Panthers are a dumpster fire organization. So between those two things put together, I could have probably went in there and tore it apart. Like it's just not impressive to me. The Bears are a legit defense. Mariota's going to get shit on. The Commanders' defense isn't good. Like Caleb will throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns and they'll win 24-10.
I am curious. What, in hindsight, did Washington trade away Sweat and Young a year too early?
No, because I feel like they're overperforming. I feel like they'll come back to earth a little bit later in the season. Definitely feel like they're overperforming. So we'll see.
Sweat and Young or the Commanders?
The Commanders.
Okay.
I feel like nobody expects them to keep this pace. Nobody expects them to go, if they're 5-2. Nobody expects them to go 10-6 would be okay. I feel like 10-6 would be good for them. 10-7, sorry, 10-7. So I feel like that would be good, but keeping this pace and going on to win 13 to 14 games, I don't see it. So we'll see. Spoon, any thoughts?
Personally, I think Washington should be at least a spot or 2 higher. That's where I had them. I think 8 is kind of low considering their only 2 losses are to the Bucks and the Ravens, and they only lost to the Ravens by 7 at Baltimore. I think this team's pretty tough. I think 8 is kind of low for them.
I think they're tough because Jaden Daniels is playing so well. This defense is bad, and Jaden Daniels isn't going to be playing the next couple weeks.
Well, and their other loss was literally week 1. Like, you got to let Jaden Daniels get a game or 2 in before you really see him come to form. And I mean, obviously, that's exactly what happened. We saw Jaden Daniels come to form like maybe the third week into the season. And yeah, now they're definitely a playoff team. And I think 8's kind of low.
I mean, I think they're a playoff team too, but not if Jaden Daniels isn't playing. So
yeah.
I gotta keep in mind that he will not be playing the next couple weeks.
So if Chicago wins, do they make the list, or does Washington fall off the list?
I mean,
that would still leave Washington at 5-3. I still think that
they're still a better team. Like, I think if Jaden Daniels is playing in this game, then the Commanders are favored by a touchdown. And I think without Jaden Daniels playing in this game, I think the Bears will be favored by 2. So that goes from it being 3 points for the home field, 3.5 points because they're better, and then that switches it to a 5-point favor of the Bears. 3 because the home field gets retracted, and then 2.5 to 2 points I think is fair. I could even see it being a pick 'em. So I just think the Bears defense is for real, and so is Washington's offense. But Washington doesn't have their best player right now and their most important player in Jaden Daniels. So I think the Bears kind of shit on the Commanders without Jaden in the game, but we'll see. Any other thoughts?
Nope.
Move on to number 7. Number 7 team on the list is the Houston Texans. As I said before, I think CJ Stroud's not playing as well as he did last year. That being said, they still barely lost to Green Bay at Lambeau, which is a tough place to win. So I think they're a great team. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're a top 4 team in the AFC all day. I don't think they're playing as well as they should be, and maybe later in the season they really start to click, because even with Nico Collins out, you still have 2 really good receivers. You have Joe Mixon in the backfield. You have a decent offensive line. You have a defensive guru at head coach who has legitimate pieces on his defense now. Like, I feel like the Texans are underperforming for what they should be doing, and they're still 5-2, 5-3. So
yeah,
I feel like because of that, I had them a little lower on my list. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't necessarily think they're underperforming. I mean, CJ Stroud's in his second year. He had a great rookie year, but I was not expecting him to come in yards above his previous season just because his previous season was something we had never seen before. I figured the jump from his first year to his second year would be a little smaller than what we normally see just because of how exceptional his first year was.
Yeah.
But I think 7's right. I think right in the 7-5.
Spoon?
I had Houston in my top 5 still, and I still think they belong there. Listen, I know that you said that CJ Stroud has not been performing well, but he only had 2 bad weeks. 2 bad weeks where Lambeau is already a tough place to win, but they knew this coming forward. I mean, he had 300 yards plus the 2 weeks before, and one of those was against Buffalo, who you have as the second best team in the AFC. In Buffalo, where they won. So, I think 7 is kind of low for that, and they also brought in Joe Mixon for that reason, that they knew C.J. Stroud was probably not going to perform as good as he did last year. He's going to have a slight sophomore slump, and Joe Mixon's doing exactly what he needs to do to get this team going. Over 100 yards, 2 TDs on the ground against a tough Green Bay defense. So I think 7 is kind of low, and I think that you're not giving the Texans enough credit as they do deserve.
I mean, they should be a top 5 team on paper, but they're not performing. A top 5 team goes into Lambeau and wins.
And conversely, Buffalo is not a top 5 team on paper. And obviously, we don't know the rest of it. They're probably in the top 5.
So I think this is right for Buffalo, the way they've been playing, coming off a loss in Lambeau. It's a tough game, but you can't get rewarded for losing, and most teams don't. So I think it's fair. Moving on to number 6, we have the Buffalo Bills.
See, and here's my thing. The Texans did beat them head-to-head.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, yeah. But you can't get rewarded for losing. Buffalo had a very strong win. Houston did not. It's what have you done for me lately? I feel like right now Buffalo, as of this week, Buffalo is the better team. Also, Houston's don't have Nico Collins, the Texans don't have Nico Collins anymore. So that has to account for something. So
and in all the games we've seen Amari Cooper on the Bills, Josh Allen's been excellent. So.
Yeah, that has to be taken into account too. The Bills
100%.
have another new number one wide receiver. I know you don't necessarily agree, and on paper, I think it's not close. The Texans should rout the Bills, but that wouldn't happen. So, but we're not on paper; we're on the football field. So let's move on to number 5. Any guesses?
I would guess it's Green Bay.
Tis the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are playing really well. Jordan Love is, I don't know if you guys have seen the little Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers meme. It's got, Spoon, have you seen it?
No.
It's got Aaron Rodgers on one shoulder as, the good angel and Brett Favre as the other angel saying, fuck it, throw the ball. Or, Aaron saying, check down to the running back. And then Brett Favre's like, fuck it, throw it up. So, I don't know. I feel like he's been a lot of Brett Favre this season. He's been more than willing to just huck it up. I think it was 2 weeks ago, he had the ball where he literally just ran away from the line, turned around, threw it up downfield, and then Romeo Doubs looks back and the defender's not looking. Defender keeps running. Doubs stops and it's way underthrown, catches it, and then turns around dives into the end zone for the touchdown. It's literally just fuck it, I'm throwing it up. Hopefully they catch it. I think he you know who Jordan Love reminds me of this season? It's gonna sound really weird, but Jameis Winston. He's playing very Jameis Winston-esque of yeah, I have a big arm. Yeah, I'm going to throw touchdowns, but I'm also going to turn the ball over a lot because I'm going to say, fuck it. So.
Yeah, go 30 for 30.
Exactly. Dude, that would be wild. You guys' thoughts? Any thoughts?
No, I pretty well agree with everything you've been saying. It's just, it's hard for me to get behind the Packers because I'm a Bears fan. But It's also hard for me to get behind the Packers with Jordan Love. He's just so hot and cold within games where he'll throw 3 interceptions in the first half and then come back and have 3 touchdowns in the second half. It's hard for me to put any faith in them with such poor ball security.
Spoon?
5. I had Green Bay in my top 10. I think I had them at either 8 or 9. I think 5 is too high.
I mean, they just beat Houston, who you said was a top 5 team.
Yes, they did. And Green Bay. They have. That's their only good win. That's the only good win they have. Look at their schedule. Look at their wins that they have. Colts, Titans, Rams, Cardinals.
But you just used the Houston beating Buffalo as an excuse, but Green Bay literally just beat Houston.
And that's the only good win they have.
But that just happened.
I understand that, but it's the only they've played 3 teams in our top 10 and they're 1 and 2. I don't think they should be 5. I think that they should be around 8 or 9. That's where I have them.
I mean, I'm just saying you're in this podcast with a Vikings and a Bears fan.
I get that, but I think that y'all are just giving the NFC North as much credit as you can.
I promise you that's not it.
That's what I kind of feel like right now. You're like, oh, they're in our division. Let's make us look tougher.
Listen, I have that's a college football thing, first of all. That mindset is completely college football. SEC versus Pac-12, I hope the SEC teams win because I'm an SEC fan. No, fuck that. I want every other team in the NFC North to go 0-16. I don't ever want to see the Packers win a game. I don't ever want to see the Lions. I don't ever want to see the Bears win a game. That's not what I want ever. Ever. I want them to all 3 go 0-16 every year. Okay, I have no divisional pride. I have divisional pride in the sense the NFC North is a very storied division, but that's it. It's not the Packers are playing the Titans. I hope the Packers win so the NFC North looks good. No, that. I hope the Vikings make the playoffs as the 1 seed every year, and people go, well, they're only there because the NFC North sucks so bad. Good. I'm glad it does. I'm fucking stoked it sucks.
And from my point of view, I need these people to start losing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bears are off to their hottest start in years, and they're still in 4th place.
Yeah. Seriously. I was just thinking that the other day. I was literally the Vikings have a fucking leap year where, we're not expected to be good, and then we just get really good out of nowhere, and the NFC North is a fucking gauntlet. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is not cool. Like, what? I hate it. I hate it. So I promise it's not that, Spoon.
Okay. All I'm saying is they have one good win this year. They're still a top 10 team, yes, because their record shows it, and their one win shows it. But whenever they play a team that we do have, like most of the teams that we have in our top 10, they're 1-2. They have a losing record against them. So I feel like 5 is a little too high. But if y'all want to put them at 5, okay.
All right. So next up on the list, a fall from grace from number 2 down to number 4, the Minnesota Vikings. Rough situation. I came on the show last week, was very adamant we would beat Detroit, and we didn't beat Detroit. Just didn't happen. Kevin O'Connell has he was previously 23-0 when tied or winning the turnover battle in games. He is now 23-1. We tied the turnover battle with the Lions. But is it just me, or have you guys been hearing this too? Like, I was super distraught after this loss. Like, I feel like we need to be able to beat the Lions because I feel like we're a better team than the Lions. Like, the Lions have a ton of talent, but their defense isn't good. Our defense is good, and our offense is good. I'm getting off track. My point being is everybody is now like sold on the Vikings as like before it was like, well, we don't really know who the Vikings are. They haven't had like a statement win, when I feel like we've had several statement wins, and then we lose to the Lions and people are like, oh yeah, they're definitely contenders. They were able to go blow for blow with the Lions and lose on the last second field goal. Like, oh dude, they're totally contenders. And it doesn't make sense to me that that's the like, oh yeah, now we're sold because they lost to the Lions. Like, Am I being unreasonable with that?
No. In my mind, you are what you are until you prove to me that you are not. I think the Vikings have shown that they're contenders this year in the NFC. I mean, they've had a bunch of good wins over what was it, the Niners,
Green Bay, the Niners.
Yeah.
I mean,
bunch of good teams, and they played Detroit close, who national media thinks is the Super Bowl powerhouse. But
I mean, that offense looks like a Super Bowl powerhouse. I won't lie. That defense is fucking Swiss cheese, but that offense looks unstoppable.
But no, I think the Vikings are contenders until they start losing the Colts and the Rams of the world. And
Yep. Spoon?
I mean, I think you're going to like what I have to say, but I don't think that they should have dropped out of the top 3. I still think they're a top 3 team. I think moving 2 spots is it's considering they only have 1 loss and it's to a division rival.
Yeah, but you also have to think about the other 3 teams in the NFL right now that the Ravens. I mean, a little bit of a spoiler here. We're gonna
I already know who the top 3 teams are. Anybody should be able to guess.
So I mean, when you think about how well the Ravens are playing right now, how well the Chiefs how well the Lions are playing, who obviously just beat us, and then the Chiefs are still undefeated, so you can't take them out of the top 3. Yeah. So
and that's I'll rat on myself a little bit here. When I do this list, part of what I take into consideration is if these teams played tomorrow, who I think is going to win. And I think all the teams above the Vikings would be favored.
You cut out that. We didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I think all the teams above the Vikings would be favored over the Vikings if they were playing tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with that. I agree. The Vikings didn't get the job done at home against a division opponent. Needed to get done. I will say we jumped out to a 10-point lead early on a big play, and then the Lions come back, and then we're down 11, and then we were able to come back on the Lions and actually go up, and then we just needed one more defensive stop, and Ben Johnson is an absolute mastermind and put together a masterclass on that last drive. Like no. Like, I love what I've told tons of people. Brian Flores has been insane this season, and Ben Johnson just straight up outclassed him on that final drive, and just gave that team a chance to win the game, and they executed to perfection. I can't complain. Like, I can't sit here and be like, oh, they got more calls than they did. Like, they came in, they did what they wanted to do, and they got out with a win, and it was impressive. And I can't make any excuses. So, anything else?
See, my thing is that like I understand the Ravens are going to be above the Vikings. They're probably the next team up. If you want to,
Number 3 team is the
Yep.
Ravens.
So here's my thing. Whenever I put the Vikings over the Ravens, is that if they were playing on a neutral field, do I think anyone really has an edge? Not really. I think Vikings have a really good defense this year. But what my tiebreaker between them was the fact that the Ravens have a bad loss and the Vikings have a good loss. They lost to a top 2 team, so it's like you can't really.
Yeah, I don't think you can't give teams. Yeah, you can't support teams for losing in the top 10, and so that's why I put the Ravens above them.
Yeah, but falling one spot isn't that bad.
But
that's not.
No, but I feel like the Ravens played better ball the last week, and the Vikings had a bye week before that, and the Ravens played really good before that. So the Vikings have had a good win in a couple weeks due to bye, and then the loss to Detroit. So that's why I had Baltimore on top of them. You have anything to say about Baltimore, Riley? Spoon, you guys got anything?
I mean, I'll kind of give it away here. I'm surprised Detroit's above Baltimore.
I think Detroit would be favored in Detroit by probably by 4, and I would imagine maybe 3.5, 4 points. So I think Detroit's I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. Unfortunately, I don't think that Kansas City will be moved from the 1 spot just because they won, and I think that's stupid. But hey, it is what it is. I think Detroit's the best team in the NFL right now, period. I think they're playing better than anybody. I think Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson are the 2 MVP favorites, in my opinion. And I personally think it should be Jared Goff for what it's worth. Lamar is playing out of his mind, but Jared Goff literally had a perfect game this season. A literal perfect game. And then you go into a tough division game on the road and go 25 or 23 of 25, have like 2 incompletions all game, including a game-winning drive to hit the game-winning field goal. He's just played out of his mind. So I'll give away the number 2 team, the Detroit Lions. So
I also think the Lions have the best running back duo right now in the NFL.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like if Montgomery doesn't show up, then Gibbs is going to show up. Like you only need one of them to really have a big game, and that's kind of what we've been seeing. Because if the other one doesn't,
if both of them are on their game in that day, they're nigh unstoppable in the run game.
Yeah.
So for sure. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an absolute animal. I can't stand him on the field, but he's a good person. And I'll say it this way, like Jair Alexander, I hate that dude. That dude talks more trash undeservedly than anybody in the NFL. I do not know why people hype him up as this like legendary, like, oh, Jair's like a top 5 corner in the game. Like that dude gets more safety help than any other top tier corner in the NFL. That dude is never left alone on an island. Like, just go shut that guy down. That never happens. And he just gets credit like he does it, but he doesn't. And then you get people like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I feel like don't get the same amount of respect as other people in their position group. And I feel like Amon-Ra St. Brown just goes out and balls every week, regardless of the situation.
I love Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I don't like him because he's a Lion.
I know.
So,
I think Baltimore. I think they're similarly built teams, high-powered rushing offenses with poor defenses. I just think Baltimore has been more explosive in their offense.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I view that more highly.
Yeah. I will say, dude, Brian Branch, I hate him too. Brian Branch can eat a rock, but he had, I don't know, did you guys see the interception he had in the game on Sunday? I mean, had probably one of the best disguised interceptions I've ever seen. It's an out route by the receiver, and Branch is playing a cover 2 safety, and Darnold throws the ball, and as the ball is being released, Brian Branch stops his feet, shifts his momentum into running a full 180 back towards the ball, overruns it, and then full extension lays out into his fingertips, makes an interception. I mean,
crazy play.
I'll let him do that 100 more times, and I bet he doesn't make that interception. Like, it was a wild full extension, jumping as high as he can interception, and well deserved. Like, that was a great play, and everybody, I've been seeing a lot of Vikings fans like Sam Darnold can't throw that ball. Like I do not fault Sam at all. Like that, I throw that 100 times out of 100 if I'm a quarterback. Like there is no way that safety is just making a full speed blitz, and even if he does, he's going to be short. Like there's no way he's jumping to that ball. Like that would be impossible. Like it was crazy. So shout out to Brian Branch. I still think the Lions are a dirty team. And speaking of dirty team, do you guys see Jameson Williams?
PEDs?
PEDs, 2-game suspension. You know what he had to say about it? I just got to take it on the chin. He's not going to appeal it. He's not going to try to argue it. He's just like, I got to take it on the chin. Basically admitting like, I got caught. Got caught. What you going to do? Like, what?
But hasn't it? And I don't keep up with the Lions that well. But hasn't it been something year after year with that guy? Like he's always hurt.
I mean, he was hurt. He was hurt, and then he just hasn't been like. He's had a couple good games, but like he was a Heisman winner. Like he was supposed to be like the next like Amari Cooper-esque wide receiver, and he's just not panned out that way. And so I think it's insane that he was doing PEDs and had -4 receiving yards in a game. That's wild to me. But, go off, King. I'm a little salty. But, all right. Number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. No surprise here. I'm going to zoom out on the list so everybody can see the whole list here. Number 1, your Kansas City Chiefs. In my opinion, they only retain the number 1 spot because they are lossless. I do not feel like they are the best team. I feel like they wouldn't be favored if they were at Lambeau this week. I feel like Green Bay would be favored at Lambeau. So I think that they're a middle of the top 10 team. Like I would see them in Houston, Buffalo, Green Bay territory, maybe even Minnesota territory. But I feel like both the Lions and the Ravens are better teams. And I had them at 3 in my power rankings, regardless of if they lost a game or not, because that offense is atrocious and that defense is bailing them out of games. And, hey, defense wins championships. They won a Super Bowl last year, but this offense is god-awful right now. The Chiefs haven't given up 28 points since the beginning of last year. Like, I don't think that if they didn't have probably the best defense in the NFL right now, that they would be 500. Like, this is just bad. It's bad in Kansas City. They retain the number 1 spot purely because of the loss column being a 0.
Yeah, and I can't move a team down off of a win. But if you look, the offensive struggles coincide with a certain offensive coordinator being rehired. For those of you who don't know what I mean, as soon as Matt Nagy came back as OC,
but it has nothing to do because Andy Reid calls the plays. Andy Reid is the offensive leader. Like, this is Andy Reid needs to get this fixed. Now, I'm sure Matt Nagy has something to do with it. I'm not trying to claim that because coaching is important and bad coaching impacts negatively, absolutely. But I feel like Andy Reid has had we're so used to Andy Reid just always being just totally on his game all the time that it's hitting us a little differently that he's not. So
so it's kind of unfortunate that, like, obviously I know there's a lot of people that want to see the Chiefs lose. They've all came very close. They had a toe that kind of cost an overtime game. They had
the Bengals, the Atlanta game,
2 pass interferences in a row. The team's still 6-0, and they're going to continue winning because their schedule. Yeah, easy. They're kind of getting some luck out of it. They're going to play the Bucs in 2 weeks. They're not going to have either one of their starting wide receivers, so I'm assuming the Chiefs are going to be ahead in that one. Their toughest division opponent right now is the Broncos. Yeah. I don't think they're going to have an issue with them, really. It's going to be probably a low-scoring game, but that offense will figure something out to just be able to put up the bare minimum of points that they need to win. And, I mean, I think the Bills is probably the only tough game they really have. They do play the Texans, but besides that, like, it looks they're gonna keep winning. They're at least gonna probably be 9-0, possibly 10-0 coming up.
They're gonna have to get caught up in a trap game to lose anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean the Panthers is on there, the Browns is on there. Like, it's not a very tough schedule. The Chiefs are probably gonna remain at 1 for a while for our standings.
Yep, I agree completely. Do you guys have anything else? Anything else for the folks?
Nope.
All right. Well, that was our top 10 list this week. Make sure to tune in next week for the same deal. Thank y'all, and we'll see y'all next time.